This patch has me having all sorts of questions. Find out what's going on as I hereby invite everyone to join me on my adventures through Marvel Snap. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. So we got a brand new patch as of today. This is out live, this is outgoing. If you reset your game, this is how the cards will look. We have 3 nerfs and 6 buffs, but beyond all that, a lot of the cards that we got this time around, I'm scratching my head going, who had this on their bingo card? This card was weak, this card needed buffing, a lot of the stuff here is just odd. And I want to start off with the first one that I want to talk about for a little bit, because we'll go back through some of the other ones that are more impactful. But the first one I want to talk about is Black Panther. Black Panther went from a 5-4 to a 5-5, which technically means it went from a 5-8 to a 5-10, unless you hit a Cosmo somehow, some way. So, I kind of don't like this to a certain degree. And this is more a me thing than anybody else. As I understand, this is actually buff, one more power is one more goodness for you. But the problem I have with Black Panther as opposed to a lot of other cards is one of the things I love to do with Black Panther was to put him down into a lane by himself. And as long as he was in a lane by himself, he ended up being 8. And at the end turn, at turn 6, I would sometimes Artem Zola that Panther and throw it into a different lane that had Wong set up into it, and win that lane. And part of what made me allowed to do that was the fact that it wasn't 10 at that point, so it was completely unaffected by Shang-Chi. Now when you play this down, right on the bat, right off, as soon as this comes down, unless something really weird happens, this is going straight up to 10. And which point that makes it immediately a Shang-Chi target. Now, a 5-10 is nothing to write home about. 5-10s are small at this point. That's average stats. And when you do throw this on a Wong, it's going to a 5-20. And if somehow you can Artem Zola it, that's a 5-40. That's ridiculous. But there's a part of me that kind of misses the trickery that I was able to get off of the Black Panther and getting those sneaky 8 cubes in the way. Another card that we have to talk about that goes with this is Symbiote Spider-Man. Now, I had to scratch my head at this one as why this got a buff. Am I missing something? Did I not read something? Did I not understand something? This went from a 4-6 to a 4-7. And while that's only one more point of power, I didn't think regular Symbiote Spider-Man was being a slouch anywhere. He was seeing play. There was a lot of decks that he was starting to already go into. One of the decks that I know he has a problem being a good thing, is the move deck where you basically put him into a lane with your Human Torch, and you eat your Human Torch with this, which makes your Human Torch now unable to be affected by Killmonger, because it's no longer a 1-drop, it's a 4-drop. So I don't know who asked for Symbiote Spider-Man to get one more power, but yeah, I'm scared of where this is showing up. Another one on the weird bingo card of niceness is Galactus. Galactus went from a 5-4. Sorry, a 6-5 to a 6-6. I'm not sure Galactus needed this point. It's really hard for Galactus to win now with what's going on with Clog being so prevalent right now. One debris basically messes with your Clog right to begin with. If you play debris, Galactus can't do anything, and that's so many of your games. It is kind of interesting that both Symbiote Spider-Man and Galactus got a point of power, which means that if you combine the two together, you now get 2 points of power. Having a 613 just on those 2 cards might be enough to win you a lane, but it's hard to get a solo lane anymore. Other than that, we had a couple little buffs here. Negasonic went from a 3-2 to a 3-3. Glad. She needed that little point of power. She's been seeing some play. She holds down a lane. But the fact that that little bit of power is just enough for her. And the last card that we ended up getting a buff. Actually, there's 2 more, I should say. We've got Craven. Craven went from a 2-2 to a 2-3. This is another one where I'm scratching my head. Move is becoming powerful. Craven's a big part of that move. And to give Craven 1 more power when move's already big in the meta is kind of weird and interesting. Alright, now for the final buff, I should say. And that's Hercules. Hercules went from a 3-4 to a 3-5. This card just never sees play. Even in move, it's like the first card that you cut in move. And part of the problem that you have with this being a card, even in move, is it works on both sides and it only works for the first card. So if somehow your opponent moves into here, then you don't get the ability of the move. And if you're doing multiple moves, only the first move counts. So as much as I like the fact that Hercules is getting 1 more point of power, I'm not sure this is going to do anything for it in the long run. Okay, so those are the buffs. We had a couple of little nerfs here. First little nerf is going to be Marvel Boy. Marvel Boy got changed from a 3-2 to a 3-1. Nothing big happening with that. Tiny nerf. Not sure this is going to change anything that's happening with the deck. Next one that we had happen is the War Machine. War Machine got changed from a 4-7 to a 4-6. Honestly, now that it's ongoing, I don't think anybody cares. A lot of people are just going to play this as a 4-4 with the ongoing effect on this now. This is Jeff Plus. This is almost literally Jeff Plus. Considering Jeff's a 2-3, this is a 4-6 and lets you move everything for the rest of the game. Or I should say play everything for the rest of the game. I don't think it's going to have a problem. Last card that we have is technically a nerf. I'm really confused about this one. Again, this one made me scratch my head. Hela went from a 6-6 to a 6-7, but in addition to that, she now gives the resurrected cards -3 instead of -2. I don't like how this is going. It's really pinning Hela to the Luke Cage now, as not having the Luke Cage is a serious power deduction. I'd rather see a couple other changes happen to the normal Hela deck. I'm surprised. One of the nerfs that I thought might happen this week, and it might happen in the next OTA balance patch, whatever, is that Hellcow would go from discarding 1 to go from discarding 2 to discarding 1. Because right now, there is no downside to the Hellcow. It's a 4-6 with technically an upside, because the only time you're ever going to use it activate is when you need to discard something. I also had kind of a thought of Hela getting a hit, but only being able to fill up the lane that she's in, kind of giving her like a Shuri effect. Where it's like, yeah, you're going to get one big lane off the Hela, but you still have to win a second lane. The fact that she can throw it into lanes that are already blocked off shut down basically means that you never have to worry about a lot of locations that would normally hurt you, like Death's Domain and Sanctum Sanctorum, and that kind of feels weird for Hela to a certain degree. I don't think this is going to hurt Hela. All this is going to do is make it so going forward, if you ever see a Hela deck, you pretty much know they have a Luke Cage. If somehow you can catch the Luke Cage, you might snap. It also makes Hela kind of bad going forward. Because one of the things that I liked about the Moon Hela deck, one of the things that actually got me excited about that deck, was the fact that every single card in there was pretty much Series 3 or less, which means it was a really new player friendly, really budget friendly deck. And yes, I get that this deck is running rampant on the meta. People do not like this deck. I don't like this deck. I don't like facing against it. You get Hellcow, you get Hela, you basically win the game. It doesn't matter what else you do. Now the whole thing is going to be you get Hellcow, you get Hela, and you get Luke Cage, and you win the game. I really wish they would look at Hela one more time and fix it, and I'm really shocked that Hellcow still gets to discard 2. I wouldn't be shocked if somewhere in the future Hellcow only discards 1, or if they really chunk down the power on that card. Anyways, those are all the nerfs and buffs that have happened in this particular patch. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, remember, play for fun.